following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Telly Olson. We are back. Mets in the Zone. A happy show tonight, given the Mets' recent prowess. I'm joined by not Marty, but Bernie Rose. How you doing?
Doing fine. Glad to be here.
And Robert Cole, two Dodger fans from way back into the Mets for one reason or another. Robert, nice to talk to you.
Same here, Ralph. Glad to be here.
All right. We have some chirping on the line. I don't know if it's where it's coming from. It seems to have stopped. I'm going to start with you, Bernie, because you're the active Dodger fan. I think there's still a little Dodger fan in Robert, but not primarily. Am I correct?
That is correct, yes. Mostly from the Brooklyn side.
Right. But you've taken it to L.A. a lot, Barn, and I want to get your opinion, if you agree with me. That was one great series between the Dodgers. And I think I called it right when the Mets were down 2-0. I identified the fact that the third game was much more important to the Mets than it was the Dodgers. This is early, but you have to set the tone, and they've done it. I think this is Marty.
Yeah,
Hello.
I texted him the numbers. Here he is.
I told you I'm not home. I wrote the number down, and I wrote one number wrong. So.
Just one number. But glad you got it. Glad you're here. Marty Rose, Bernie's brother. We are a complete show, and without you, Marty, we couldn't be. So welcome. I was just talking to you, bro, and identifying that he's mostly a Dodger fan, and he agrees that was the best series that has been played from a fan standpoint in a long time. That was great. It showed that the Mets could come back, and I can't help but be confident. But I am a Met fan, and these guys, all three of you, have experienced the ups and downs of the Mets. Robert Cole, what can go wrong with the rest of the season?
Oh, my goodness. You're asking me? Oh, my God.
What a question.
What?
Well, go ahead.
Robert, what do you feel? Let me rephrase. What do you feel is more likely than anything to go wrong with the rest of the season? Where do you see a weakness?
Well, okay, the bullpen still has some weakness in it. Chase and Shreve had his good stretch, and now he's been struggling. Joely Rodriguez, you don't know which Joely you're going to get. Some days he's good, some days he's not good, as he was not last night. Smith, has been fairly good, but he gave up a big home run last night. So I would say the bullpen, with a lot of hope from the starters, because, we're hoping we get 3 starters back. And then that in turn should make the bullpen a little stronger.
It's a lot of pressure off. Speaking of the bullpen, I want to give the manager, Buck Showalter, some credit. I don't know if it's the third game or the fourth game where he used Diaz in the 8th inning. He took a lot of heat for that, from some ignorant people on Facebook, and I'm sure nationally. But I thought it was the greatest move all season. He brought Diaz in to deal with the top of the order. His best relief pitcher in his most crucial inning. It wasn't the ninth inning, and Diaz is famous for not wanting to come in unless it was a safe situation and talking about numbers this and numbers that. I don't care how many saves he has. I care how many wins the team has, and I wanted to identify Showalter. He's got that team where he wants them. I think they're with the program. What do you say to that, Marty Rose?
Oh yeah, I thought that was an excellent move. Also, they apparently he had spoken to Diaz about that possibility, and the only question was going to be whether he'd ask him to pitch 2 innings or not, and obviously he didn't, which is another weakness that you just spoke about. Lugo has not been this year what he has been in the past, at least so far. But so he gave up the 2 runs, which sent it to extra innings. But no, it was an excellent move with the top 3 guys in the Dodger order coming up, which was Betts and
Freddie.
Freddie and Turner. So yeah, that was very big.
Yes. Bernie, I want you to talk about the series from the Dodgers standpoint. You were all over, not Twitter, but communicating with the 3 of us about some of the moves that were made by Roberts that you disagreed with. Would you elaborate on those?
Well, I'm sure the first one you're alluding to is when I talked about letting Buehler pitch to Alonso. But it's only the 3rd inning. It's tough when the guy who's sort of worked himself into the ace role, even when Kershaw's healthy. And do you take him out at that point? But here's the thing: for as much as I watch, and I just knew that Buehler has not been himself. How does that happen? I don't know. What happened to Steve Blass? What happened to Steve Sachs? A guy can't throw to first base. A guy can't find the plate anymore. I mean, after you're a seasoned veteran. Now, Buehler hasn't been around that long yet, but he's been great, and especially in the postseason. And his earned run average was down around, I think 2.3 or even under 2 right at the end of April. But in the month of May, his ERA is close to 5. So I questioned. I said I wouldn't let him pitch to Alonso there. They had already just lost the lead. It was only, or it was a 1-run game. I forget what the score was already. But the way I've been watching him, you could see that something wasn't right. You could see it in his face. But do you take him out in the 3rd inning? When you got 2 outs? Probably not. So maybe I overreacted. I'm just seeing a lot of things right now that make me wonder if this Dodger team, winning that division may not be that tough, but going further, I don't know. There's a lot of ifs that they did not have, like Justin Turner. I mean, has his age caught up to him? Is he going to come back? Cody Bellinger, was he a one-shot deal as an MVP? Is he never going to hit even 275? Is he going to hit 20 home runs again, let alone 47 or whatever he hit that year, 43? There's a lot of things going on. And is Gonsolin and Anderson, are they going to do this all season? Right now, they're the two best pitchers in baseball. I mean, it's funny. So it's a long season. And the Mets have the same questions for certain guys. But I'm very impressed. The resilience, the team just looks like they're a team built for now. Escobar was very impressive.
Oh, he hit for the Tyko yesterday.
He certainly did.
Go figure. And that, in 60 years of Metsdom, 11 times they've had guys hit for the Tyko.
Well, not for 10 years.
What's that?
And not for 10 years, right?
Not for 10 years.
Yeah, it was 10 years the last one. But that doesn't happen every day. I mean, that's not very infrequent.
Right. Their starting lineup plus McNeil is going to turn into a Rizzo, a super sub, because Guillermo is, am I pronouncing that right, or should I just say Dougie Flynn?
Guillermo.
Yeah, Guillermo, right.
Has been unbelievable. They had him batting third the other day, and he has been as good as he's been with the bat. I am super impressed with him defensively. He does some things that we haven't seen at second base in a long time. This guy can be, what a double play combination he and Lindor are putting up. So, I could only dream about the results of this team. And I mentioned Lindor's doing great, but the Bear, Alonso, is just unbelievable.
Everybody's hitting. Everybody.
Right.
Well, for the most part, if you look at this lineup with the Mets, they've got a seasoned guy now at almost every position or every spot in the lineup. Maybe some of them haven't been around that long, but they've proven their worth. So you've got a seasoned guy everywhere.
Yeah, and I looked up the other day, and Nido, not Nemo, but Nido was hitting 250. That's pretty damn good for what we've been getting out of him, and almost living up to the expectations of when he came up. He's got a great arm, and he's as good as certainly as good as anyone defensively. So to be hitting 250 is kudos to him.
It's a big difference when you get a chance to play all the time. Since McCann's been hurt, just when you play once a week or something like that, it's hard to keep your timing and everything. But yeah, he's been playing a lot, and he's definitely been hitting. Very surprising, actually.
Well, and they also got a boost, he becomes kind of a guy who we're going to be thinking about for years and years. Steve something, guy they got from the Cardinals, who gave him a hell of a week. When Jankowski went out, they got an outfielder. Want to help me out, guys? Plummer.
Oh, Plummer. The plumber.
Oh, well, he's in the lineup tonight.
Yeah.
Oh,
the plumber did.
Okay. I was wondering, you can't play everybody every day. Dom Smith's leaving gives a lot of flexibility to where guys are going to play and how much. Dom Smith is an enigma, always was. And I don't think he'll be back unless somebody gets hurt.
But if his kid's ready, let him play. And here's a funny thing. Rios on the Dodgers, who just, pulled his hamstring in this series and is now on the IL, they were never able to get him playing time. Last year he got hurt. He had a horrible start, and then he got hurt, and he missed like the whole year. And then Muncy, who's really never recovered from his injury that happened on the last day of the season and missed all the playoffs. But Rios got a chance to play when Muncy went on the IL, and he's been playing more. He's been hitting a home run every 9.5 at-bats. Now, it's a small sample, but this guy has power. He can hit home runs. And now he's on the IL. But, when a guy gets a chance, I don't want to say Wally Pipp, and Lou Gehrig, but,
right.
when a guy gets a chance, you don't know. And this kid Plummer looks good. And who knows if Rios continued to hit home runs and look good, maybe Muncy doesn't get back in the lineup. You don't know, and he could only be a plus if he keeps doing what he's doing.
Yep. And Jankowski, they don't skip a beat in getting this guy because Jankowski was very valuable. And what with Nemo being out a lot, we've got somebody's back.
Yeah, I'm back. For some reason, my phone keeps dropping. So
that'll happen. We're talking about guys who get chances. Plummer, when other guys fail or for whatever reason. Name somebody, Robert, that you can think of. It doesn't have to be a Met who stepped in an emergency and became a regular player, a better player. Who do you think of right off the top of your head?
Well, the old Brooklyn Dodgers, Charlie Neal, stepped in 1957 and became the starting shortstop when Pee Wee Reese's age caught up with him. And Neal then became an all-star second baseman for the L.A. Dodgers, and we all thought he was a great piece when the Mets got him, and it didn't turn out that way.
Oh, it didn't at all. He was really bad as a Met. And Mert, I was thinking about this game, opening day in '63. Did you go with me that game?
63, no.
Okay, well, Neal makes an error at third base on the first play of the first game, opening day. Ground ball, Charlie Neal boots it. Mm-hmm. And that kind of ended the fun for me because they were expecting more from the Bob Miller trade. And Bob Miller, Righty Miller, passed away a couple of weeks ago. And for one reason or another, we didn't make note of it. It was like the third worst trade in Met history, trading Bob Miller for Tim Harkness and Larry Burnett. Or Larry Burright.
Burright,
yeah.
Boy, did they get gypped on that, because Miller turns out to have a darn good career as a relief pitcher for a couple of solid years after that, and those guys were just not good.
So that wasn't quite as bad as Jim Fregosi for Nolan Ryan.
Oh, no, not at all. We got Amos Otis up there in history. Paul Blair was a Met at one time. So there are a number of them, but a number of good ones too.
But it's hard to come up, just off the top of your head, guys that stepped in, and took over. That's a tough question.
Yeah.
You got to rack your brains a little.
Well, I think you got it right, Wally Pipp.
Well, that's the ultimate one.
I've got a question to ask Bernie. Okay. All right. Now, I asked this question online and got a lot of feedback on it. Okay. Game 3, right? The Dodgers are down by 5 runs going into the 9th inning, and your manager wants to bring in a regular player to pitch the 9th inning. How would that make you feel?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually had turned it off. Something that I don't usually do. But, I read all about it, and, I don't know. That I was a little surprised.
I understand why he did it, okay? But
sure.
what he's doing is he's saying to his team and the fans, okay, we're giving this one up. We're not interested in winning this game. And to me,
I agree. I agree with you. And this is something that I was going to bring up. I mean, and this happened a lot last year too, and it's starting out the same way. So far the Dodgers are 0-5 in extra inning games, and they're 1-run loss games. I mean, they don't come back. They've got the highest differential in the baseball, but that's because they win a lot of games by a lot of runs, and I'm starting to wonder how. I mean, granted, you got a great 1, 2, 3, but they don't come back. Now, granted, they tied that game in the 9th, on Sunday, and even the other game that they could have pulled out.
Right.
But yeah, I wonder if he's thinking what I'm thinking. That was a bad move. I agree with you. I don't know why. That does sort of send that out like we're done for. That's now, not good.
Let me ask Marty and Ralph, okay? This week, okay, Saturday, they're playing the Brewers, right? Okay, we go into the 9th inning, down by 5 runs, and he brings in Guillorme to pitch. How would you feel?
He would. I feel that he would never do that, because this team has come back too many times. And,
didn't they score 7 runs in the 9th inning one time?
Exactly. Exactly, and that's my whole point. Okay,
right.
You're talking the Dodgers, okay, arguably the best team in the National League, along with the Mets. They're 5 runs down, and you're giving it up. I mean, that to
that's
me,
bad.
Yeah.
Well, I will play the devil's advocate for the Dodgers. Not being known as a comeback team anyway, I don't know what the status of the bullpen was. And sometimes the idea of, well, you got us today, we'll save it for tomorrow, is a philosophy. I'm not saying that I like it in a team. I'm just so incredibly impressed by the Mets this year and not used to that comeback thing. So I give me the team that the manager has hopes for the comeback. And I just like to see the guys, the response to Escobar's triple to get that Tyko was incredible on the bench. Did you see these guys on the bench? And what I also like is that they consult with each other, pitchers and hitters, after every half inning. A guy comes back, strikes out. What did you see? What's going on? They communicate, and I'm really liking this team as a fan. That's why I'm looking for what's likely to go wrong. So if I hear it here first, I won't be totally shocked and have to jump off the bridge when it happens.
But that's what's just funny, because you never know what's going to happen. Like with the Buehler, with a 4-1 lead, and the Dodgers won the first 2 games. If this was any other time except this past 4 weeks, I would have thought, as good as the Mets are, they're not winning this game. They're not coming back against Buehler. And yet, here I was messaging your buddy Peter, as I alluded to in the message to you guys. I said to him, and the next inning hadn't even started yet. It was in between the innings. I said, "Do you think he can hold this?" And I would have never said that. I mean, because Buehler's had a pretty good start to his career, and he's worked it. And all of a sudden, he can't get it done. So you know what? You never really know what's going to happen. But right now, I like the way the Mets are looking, and I'm not that crazy what I'm seeing from certain aspects from the Dodgers.
Yeah. And it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if Buehler was hurt. It's not just the Mets; it's every team. Well, not just the Dodgers.
I thought of that.
The Mets. But if you're the manager and you know he's hurt, why cut off your nose to spite your face? That type of thing. Why not?
That too, yeah.
So it's a crazy game. Let me put it to you that way.
We're going to talk about the pitching. When the season started and we had everybody healthy except DeGrom, I was really not too happy about prospects of Carrasco and Walker at the beginning of the year. Now, Carrasco is 7-1. Walker's pitching. They're both pitching really well, and we're getting guys back. McGill, I think McGill may be back against the Angels, and the other 2 guys that have come back. He's thrown off the mound already. So.
Right, they're doing this without Scherzer and DeGrom. I mean,
yeah. So it can only get better, I think.
Yeah, and you get those 2 guys back in July. It'd be just like making a blockbuster trade, and getting 2 starting pitchers.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's a good analogy. Absolutely.
I'm thinking that could spark them. That those guys coming back could spark them, as if they needed sparking. But it all comes down to the playoffs too. So some of this is dumb luck, as the Giants in Miami played out years ago. And that's one thing wrong with the playoff system. But you never know. Marty wasn't too happy with the prospect of a Subway Series when I mentioned it to him that it's a good possibility. You don't like their pitching, do you? Coming up against their pitching.
Well, the Yankees, I don't even know some of these guys at all. I never heard of some of these guys. I don't even know where they came from. And they're just really, I'm shocked, to tell you the truth. I really am. And even their closer has been out for probably like a month, and they bring some guy in, another guy out, and I didn't know, and he's mowing people down. So they're definitely for real. They'll be there. Should be
a very interesting year. anything either of you guys want to get off your chest that we haven't covered, so you can feel like I do. It's cathartic. Start with you, Robert.
Well, I think I got most of my stuff off my chest already, but Marty knows this because he's on the website a lot. But in the beginning of the year, when Guillorme went 0 for 18 or something like that, and guys on the website were jumping all over him, wanted him gone, get rid of him. Remember that, Marty?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, and here he is hitting 326. And then the other day we were having a talk online about, some bad trades and bad signings, and McCann was brought up. And then some other guy comes up and says, yeah, and they got to get rid of that Eduardo guy also because he's terrible. And he's talking about Escobar. Do some of these people even know what they're talking about? Are they watching the same games we are? It's amazing.
I don't expect everybody to be a superstar, some of these people,
guys getting off.
They fail 7 out of 10 times, Come on.
That's right.
Guys getting off to good starts or bad starts. At the end of the year, like Guillorme goes 0 for 18 or whatever, at the end of the year, they'll hit what their baseball card looks like for the most part.
Yes, that's true.
There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs.
Showalter didn't know this guy. He just put him in the lineup, and he's hitting. So he stays with him, and he keeps hitting, and he stays with him. I'm sure he didn't know a lot of these guys. And he's seeing for himself. Yeah, exactly.
This is what I see sometimes with the Dodgers and Roberts. Especially with Justin Turner. He's a little bit streaky. I mean, mostly he always hit. The last year or two he's been a little more streaky. He's getting older, but he goes 4 for 5. Knocks in 4 or 5 runs, and then he sits them the next day. I don't get that. When a guy breaks out, why would you not play him again the next day? And I see. Yeah, go ahead.
It's just possible that no one knows a player's psycho like the manager.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, he knows more about it than I do.
Right. Well, not just the cycle. I joke about his cycle, but we don't know what's going on in a player's personal life, why one player plays, another player doesn't, how he does against the pitcher he's either going to face or not going to face.
Right. Or it was just a planned day off and he just sticks to it, Right. But to me, it just doesn't make sense. Give him another day off, The guy's ready to play now. But that's just another story. I would just like to say that the Mets right now, they're a team that they're like a bunch of little kids. They're all excited. They're all playing together. They know what their jobs are, and they're doing them. And they got guys that can get it done. And it's going to be a fun season. I mean, go ahead.
I saw something today. Go ahead, Marty.
No, I was going to say, and they know if they need something, the owner will go out and get it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
not
big.
like before. Not like before.
And like he comes up with, Uncle Stevie, this past week, a high-tech batting practice pitcher, not a pitcher, but a machine that can literally emulate you're going to face Joe Doe. It will give you Joe Doe's delivery, this, that, and the other thing, speed, breaking ball, this, that, and the other thing. it may not sound like much, but
cost is no object.
Right. That's the idea. Cost is no object from a Met owner. Am I
the Wilpons did the same thing. The Wilpons bought a new batting tee. I mean,
No, that's got to be exciting for you guys, and the one thing, that when the trading deadline comes, the Dodgers are going to be involved. I mean, he's been pulling something out every year, and just makes me wonder why they haven't signed Trey Turner. I mean, they're just going to let him go? Who's going to play shortstop? They let, Seager's gone. Now they got Turner for just this last year. You'd think, he's leading the team in RBIs at this point. He's got his average up to 297. He could end up leading the league in hitting again. You're just going to let him go?
Did they try to sign him?
Yeah,
Maybe
you don't know what's going on.
Be a free agent.
Yeah, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I mean, they may be talking.
Well, I think he wants to be a free agent. I think, but I don't know. And you're right. We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Absolutely. And the Mets, all your guys are young, so you're looking good. All your big players are, you don't have that problem just yet.
Yeah, our players are young, but Ralph, Marty, and I are not.
I'm not that far behind you,
we know, and that's not all that much fun for any of us.
No, because when I'm turning 71 in July, that means you know where you guys are.
You're just a baby. You're a baby.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Well, not many of us remember Miss Survivor, and we got to keep you around just for that, if nothing else. From PS 148.
I'm telling you. I just watched Eric Holder on Bill Maher. He was on Friday night. I only just watched it now. But, he went to 148. He was in my grade.
Yes. And somebody on Facebook said that he had Wolfmeyer and avoided Survivor.
So you saw all that. Yeah, that was part of that conversation, right.
I did.
Yeah, he had Wolfmuller in the 6th grade, but I had Survivor.
And neither you or Holder had Miss Ross in the 2nd grade like Marty and I did. We were absolutely blessed with her.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if you had Miss Ross too, Barn.
I think I did. I think I did. She lived in our building, didn't she?
Yes.
I don't remember that, but Ralph seems to think so. Maybe she did.
I do. I remember either before she got married or after she got married or whatever. But I know the Mets fans from all over the world are clamoring to know. So I'll try to get this documentation.
Right.
Well, I definitely don't. But I'd like to have that answer for the next show.
That's my responsibility. And you don't often hear the word Tyko and responsibility in the same sentence. All right, guys, you're a pleasure. You made my day today, and I'm glad this was a happy one.
Oh, yeah. Keep beating up those Padres.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll have many more series down the line, Barn. And when we're not talking Mets, Dodgers, we're talking Giants, Dodgers.
Yeah,
you and I. So it's going to be a great year.
All righty.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening, everybody. Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I'm Ralph Tyko, the weak link of it all. but we got a full house. We got the Rose brothers, Bernie and Marty, and we have Robert Cole. And who could ask for anything more?
Nobody.
The only thing we can ask for is a singing voice, and that's not likely to happen. All right. Love you guys. Stay well.
All right, guys.
Thanks again for listening, everybody.
Good night.
Adios and happy trails.
Yep.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.